What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So, this video is somewhat of a response to two videos that the YouTuber Chrissie recently uploaded called Part 1 NBA Players Say Steph Curry is Hated on Because of His Light Skin, and another video called Part 2 Sports Commentators Explain Colorism in the NBA hashtag Steph Curry. All right. But this video is going to be a bit more generalized. But nevertheless, I will address briefly the Steph Curry, Shannon Sharpe, Chris Broussard, and other folks' situation. All right. But before I begin, I just want to say a few things though. Normally, I tend not to do response videos because I don't want to come off as if I'm clout chasing. That's the word, right? Clout chasing. And trying to ride off of other people's names like some other YouTubers around here, Fukushima lady. Nevertheless, I'm going to do a response video today. And like I said, this is somewhat of a response video. All right. And before I begin with this response video, let me give a disclaimer. This is really necessary here. All right. For you sensitive niggas out there. All right. I have nothing but love for the collective of black people of all shades and genders. And this includes brown skin and dark skinned black men. Okay. But first, I want to speak just a little bit about my personal experience when it comes to brown skin and dark skinned black men. All right. Overall, I think I've had pretty positive experiences overall. I've had a couple of not so positive experiences, but thankfully, the positive ones outweigh the negative ones, so I'm able to individualize the negative experiences and not apply them, as a whole to the collective of brown skin and dark skinned black men. Okay. But I'll say probably my first negative experience when it came to brown skin, dark skinned black men probably came in like high school. Um, at least that's when it was like the colorism was like, blatant out there. But it wasn't really anything major, nothing that was like, scarring for life, that would scar me for life, you know, just some, kind of like low key, slick, shady comments here and there, And I know sometimes some people may catch my videos here and there and may, think that I have some, deep-seated hate and animosity towards, brown skin and dark skin men. When really, to keep it real, that's pretty much the opposite. Like, I, had overall pretty positive experiences with the collective of brown skin and dark skin black men. Um, as far as like friendships go, those are, the group of men that honestly kind of tend to gravitate towards as far as like friendships are concerned, and buddies and things like that. Um, and as well, I think probably like the group of men that have, welcomed me, right? You know, and, really this could be a whole separate video in itself. But, you know, for now, I'm going to stick more so to topic. But I was just putting that out there so that people kind of know a little bit more about, my situation, as well as me sharing my situation, right? And adding and, helping continue and perpetuate the conversation about colorism, right? But nevertheless, I got to say some things, all right? If it don't apply, let it fly. And only a hit dog holler, okay? All right. So let's get into this. All right. So the whole Chris Broussard and Shannon Sharpe situation, I kind of found that to be a very interesting dialogue and conversation, and as well probably the realest mainstream colorism conversation that's out there. As far as like the mainstream is concerned. And shout out to Chris Broussard for keeping it 1,000 and exposing the fuck shit for what it is. And also, I kind of like, that analogy he put out with the whole field Negro versus house Negro when it comes to like sports. And it's like, oh, sports are considered like quote unquote a field Negro thing. I'm like, I never thought about that, but I guess perhaps, yeah, it is. I guess perhaps house Negro things are considered perhaps more so like politics. Something to think about there, you know. And also, he spoke about, the dark-skinned, brown-skinned black men who shade the light-skinned black men, but date and seek, light-skinned black women and non-black women, right? And as well, they're creating a lot of, these light-skinned biracial guys out here, like in the NBA. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, 99.9% of those biracial dudes in the NBA have black fathers, which is really strange that, some of these dudes, have some sort of a issue with light-skinned mixed biracial men, but at the same time, you're sustaining and perpetuating their population. That doesn't make any sense. That's how you know there's some sort of a mental issue at play right then and there, right? Shannon Sharp spoke on some real shit too. He had said something that was interesting about this coach telling him about recruiting and not to recruit light-skinned players because they're soft. And I found that to be very interesting. I'm like, did that come from a black man who said that? I wouldn't be surprised. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Shannon Sharp, willingly, and went along without a fight about that. Like, okay, sure, whatever. Right? Because he probably has some low-key colorist leanings too. Oddly enough, Shannon Sharp is, kind of like the go-to black guy when they want to talk about, racism and stuff like that. And partially, I think that's because Shannon Sharp is, quote unquote, compromised. And I think when it comes to the media, they'll let a Shannon Sharp talk about racism before they would let, say, a Chris Broussard talk about racism. And I think, oddly enough, is because I think Chris Broussard actually is less compromised than Shannon Sharp. If you really think about it, you would think that Chris Broussard perhaps would be, but if you go into his background, he kind of isn't biracial. He doesn't come from like black parent and non-black parent. I think he comes from like two black parents. Creole, I heard that being thrown around there. Whatever. As well, he's married to a black woman, an identifiably unambiguous black woman, right? So right then and there, just that alone, we can't fuck with you. Nuh-uh. We can't have you promoting, positive, healthy relationships that involve brown skin and dark skinned black women. Nuh-uh. Right. So yeah, that's really interesting too. And again, Shannon Sharp, he's saying, back where he comes from, and I think he comes from like Georgia, like rural Georgia. Back in probably like, I don't know how old Shannon Sharp is, but I think he's a little older, from an older generation. But back when racism was definitely at an all-time high, the overt kind, right? And he has spoke about his experiences with racism, I believe. So oddly enough, he can complain about racism, but, low-key perpetuate colorism because he's saying, like, back where he come from, that was the thing. The light-skinned dudes were the soft dudes. But, again, I find this to be really interesting how, people kind of pick and choose the parts of white supremacy that they like and dislike. You know what I mean? As quiet as it's kept, colorism is the part of white supremacy that black people love. Black people love colorism. All right. That's that's the thing. They want to hold on to that. They want to get rid of the racism part though. But we know what that's about. But do you guys remember when Shannon Sharp had a Twitter beef with Cynthia G? It was like a brief Twitter beef with the YouTuber Cynthia G, right? So if y'all don't remember, I'll refresh your memory, okay? Cynthia G posted the following tweet, and I guess she maybe tagged Shannon Sharp in it or something. Somehow he got hold of it. All right, but Cynthia G posted, quote unquote, "Black men accept LeVar Ball and Shannon Sharp, parentheses, who never dated black women, having white spouses and consider them pro-black because they spend part of their time talking about racism and part-time sleeping with white women. But Holly Berry and Serena Williams are sellouts and bedwenches." And then Shannon Sharp actually replied back to Cynthia G. And he replied back with the following, quote unquote, not that it's your or anyone else's damn business who I date. I don't date for approval and don't need you or others to confirm who or what I am. Enjoy your day. I kind of felt like he shouldn't have replied, but if he was going to reply, I felt like he should have said, well, I actually do date black women. Not that it's any of your business. I felt like he should have said something like that. But then again, perhaps that would be a lie. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with his dating history, like that. But let's move on to the next. All right, so dark-skinned black men and black people in general tell on themselves and reveal their colorist sentiments and true colorist leanings when it comes to how they treat light-skinned black men. Notice that. The thing is, it works the best with light-skinned black men because there's no... I think because none of the groups in the community can really get anything from light-skinned black men, can't really use them for anything. But when it comes to brown-skinned and dark-skinned black women, that's when you'll see some, people entertaining and paying lip service and giving out participation trophies like, oh, we're all black and beautiful. Shit like that, right? But they don't do that when it comes to light-skinned, mixed biracial black men, right? And, again, like I said, people telling themselves when it comes to how they treat light-skinned black men, and they kind of reveal their colorist leanings when they engage with light-skinned mixed biracial men. And let me explain, all right? So when they are going on about, how soft, feminine, bitch-made, and non-black, light-skinned black men are, they're telling how they view light skin and indirectly how they view dark skin, right? Everybody is. The dark-skinned black men are doing it. The dark-skinned black women are doing it. The light-skinned black women are doing it. Hell, even some light-skinned black men are doing it. Shit. But, thank God, thank the Lord in heaven, light-skinned mixed biracial male stereotypes don't really seem to apply and hold up outside of the black community. See, other groups know what's up. All right. Notice that. It don't really, if you really think about it, don't really, people really be like, huh? It'd be like a bit weird for them, I think. Unless they've been exposed to black culture and fuckery. Other groups and other communities don't generally view light-skinned black men in that light, especially as a collective. Perhaps on some individual level if they really do exhibit those characteristics. Also, Think about it. Like, hell, even when mainstream media wants an effeminate gay black man, they usually go for a brown-skinned, dark-skinned black man, not a light-skinned mixed black man. Notice that. And again, when they want a black man to wear a dress and to do drag and shit, they tend to get brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men. Like, see, they know who to go to with that fuck shit, right? They know who to try with that fuck shit. They don't do that with us, all right? um, but by and large, light-skinned black men, don't internalize the stereotypes. Thank God. And as well, I really think that light-skinned black men, despite all the pushback, fuckery, and all that stuff, actually do like being, generally, like being light-skinned black men. I don't see them saying, oh my God, I wish I was dark-skinned so bad. Let me darken my skin, right? You don't really see that. Really, you hear more light-skinned, mixed biracial women saying, oh, I wish I was dark-skinned. You really hear that more than the men saying that, you know? And again, with the whole tragic mulatto stereotype, those stories tend to involve women more than men. Not to say that it never does, but it tends to weigh more so on the women. That's something to pick up on too. But I do think there's some low-key resentment from the community when it comes to how other groups feel about light-skinned mixed biracial men. And I think, low-key, the resentment when it comes to brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men, I think low-key the resentment could partially be because they may feel that maybe light-skinned black men have an easier time in society and within the system of white supremacy. It may feel like they don't have to really carry the burden of blackness and seemingly can enjoy the benefits of being black without dealing with the downside of being black. I think that is a low-key issue at play too, like a thought that's at play too. And I think when it comes to the dark-skinned black women, there's some resentment because the thirst factor is not the same as the thirst factor that dark-skinned men and brown-skinned men have for mixed biracial light-skinned women. Not to say that light-skinned men aren't interested, but I think that the thirst factor isn't the same, And I think ultimately that works out for healthier relationships. And I do think that on average, light-skinned black men and dark-skinned black women have healthier relationships and less colorist relationships than, say, dark-skinned men and light-skinned women. So let's see the next part. When it comes to light-skinned mixed biracial women, I think they have some resentment, probably similar to the reason why dark-skinned women have some resentment, and it's because they don't get that thirst factor from them, right? They don't get uplifted from them just for being light-skinned, right? They actually have to come with something more than just light skin to be uplifted by them and to be thirsted after by them, right? And as well, light-skinned mixed biracial black men typically don't drink their tears. They ain't here for it. And I think because they partially probably know them too well. They know the shit that they be on, you know? But yeah, so, that whole carrying the burden of blackness, right? So I think that's at play when it comes to dark skin and light skinned black men and, some animosity and things like that. That's why we got that whole, you ain't a real nigga, right? It's just, uh, and honestly, I think that was what that whole Drake Pusha T beef was about, at least partially. I think that was because Pusha T did say something to the effect of like, calling Drake out and saying like, oh, you know, you're silent on all black issues, Drake. And I think that was in response to Drake's, you know, blackface photo. Y'all remember that? And Drake saying that he was doing that as satire to address racism or something like that. And, you know, Pusha T was like, well, you're silent on all black issues, Drake. And I think low key, there could be some resentment there when it's like, well, you kind of seem like you can jump in and out of blackness when convenient. While Pusha T, you know, looking as he looks, he can't just jump in and out of blackness. He's like, he has to be in it to win it, you know. And I think that's, you know, to be fair, I think that is a valid complaint, you know. I think if you're claiming black, and you should claim black, you know, full force, full stop, right? Also, Tyrese was going after Rock. Y'all remember that too? I think there was some low key shit about, you know, oh, this light skinned nigga getting more opportunities than me, right? And I'm like, well, you know, The Rock, to be fair, is not just like your ordinary light skinned nigga, though. You know, he does bring in the money when it comes to the box office, right? He's like one of the highest paid, probably the highest paid, like, you know, black actor in Hollywood, or Hollywood, really like person of color, period. You know, he's on par with like the highest paid white men in Hollywood. I think him and Vin Diesel are both, you know. Um, but something else I want to bring up. Rarely do I ever see light-skinned black men hating on dark-skinned black men when they're getting their shine. I don't see that. I really don't see that. When, you know, they're being praised and practically worshipped, particularly by black women, for being chocolate black kings, right? Uh-oh. Chocolate black king, Holy Ghost coming through here. Yeah. I love my black king dipped in chocolate. I love my black king like a locket. I love my black king. He's on a rocket headed to my heart. Yeah. Black king, chocolate black king. It don't mean a goddamn thing if he ain't a king, a black king. Dipped in chocolate, that's how I like my king. Right. So while the black women are busy singing, you know, 1,001 Chocolate King songs, these Chocolate Kings here, they're singing the damn King Kong Miss Becky songs. Shit. Like, oh, Miss Becky. Yeah, Miss Becky. You a black queen, Miss Becky. Even though you a crack fiend, Miss Becky. You still my white dream, Miss Becky. Let me be your King Kong, Miss Becky. All night long, Miss Becky. I'll sing this song, Miss Becky. And ride and die with you, Becky. So yeah, they're singing these old King Kong Miss Becky songs while black women are singing Black Kings, the Chocolate Black King songs. There's a bit of a disconnect there, all right? But back to subject here. So rarely do I see light-skinned men hating on dark-skinned men, right? And I think that speaks to light-skinned black men's character and maturity as a collective, you know? And of course, that's things that are not ever recognized and acknowledged. And, you know, when I do try to do that, you know, there is pushback and, you know, whatnot. But who cares? But as quiet as it's kept, I think some dark-skinned and brown-skinned black men want light-skinned black men to be jealous of them and to hate on them. I really think they want that. They want that. They want to feed off of that, you know, kind of like perceived jealousy, I guess, right? Vis-a-vis how, you know, they want them to act how dark-skinned black women act towards light-skinned black women. Stereotypically speaking, of course, right? right? They want to have that sort of a situation and effect going on. As quiet as it's kept. They may not own up to it, but I think that's at play too, because sometimes some comments I read from some of these dudes, I'm like, well, my video wasn't really about, um, dating contest of who can get the most women, you know. And I mean, and let's be real, it's easy to dumpster dive. It's easy to bottom feed. These Negroes, hell, these niggas, they go run behind freaking Taco Bell to get a date. Go dumpster dive in Taco Bell's dumpster to get a date. Go dumpster dive in Panda Express's dumpster to get a date. And they'll go run over to Olive Garden right quick to try and get a date too, and like American Deli and shit. They'll go run over to those places too. And like I said, it's really easy to get trash. If you go outside your house, you can run across trash pretty easily. Now, when it comes to treasure, on the other hand, you got to put in some work to get some buried treasure. Right? You got to put in some work to, find the X that marks the spot, right? But, they don't want to do that, right? That's why you got a damn billionaire with a damn former Playboy or penthouse model. A black billionaire, of course, right? Of course. Right. I'm just saying. Like, because some of these dudes would be like, every woman wants dark-skinned black men. And I'm like, maybe like the low quality, low tier, bottom of the barrel ones, perhaps, because that's probably the only ones I can really get. But I don't really see like the top chicks really, the top tier chicks, the high tier chicks. I don't really see them going to you like that. I don't think you really have access to those women. I'm just saying. And really, when I do see those women with black dudes, a lot of times they be lighter skinned dudes. To be real, I'm just saying. Like Jeremy Meeks is dating like a billionaire heiress, right? I think The Weeknd was dating like one of the Hadid sisters or model sisters or whatever, right? Who else? Throwback, but Tony Parker and Eva Longoria, right? The Weeknd and Selena Gomez, right? So I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. On the other hand, when it comes to light-skinned men getting their shine, dark-skinned men tend to throw shade, right? Why? It's like they come off as being kind of like jealous, bitter, and dare I say, insecure. Everything that they accuse dark-skinned black women of being, it sounds like somebody might be projecting. And that's when they come with these old light-skinned nigga jokes, right? They love their light-skinned nigga jokes, right? Well, let me tell a few dark-skinned nigga jokes. Since we're joking and all, let me tell a couple of dark-skinned nigga jokes right quick for you. Which tar pit did your subhuman black as sin ass crawl out of? God damn. Shit. I mean, shit. Like, also, like, why when I see police officers putting dark-skinned black men in jail, it makes me think of like animal control and zookeepers, like managing and putting unruly animals back in their cages. Like, don't that shit look like something from Animal Planet? It does, like some TV show off of Animal Planet, right? And also, like, don't the jail cells with a whole bunch of dark-skinned men in them look like cage animals in a zoo? It really does. Or better yet, no, it looks like a circus sideshow. Come on. Come on. It does. Like, You got it, the person, the ringmaster or whatever, like, come one, come all. Step up to see the black as sin subhuman beast with no soul. These niggas really do look like they don't have a soul. Act like it too. Soulless ass niggas, I swear. But we gotta thank the police force for keeping these niggas' population numbers under control. Alright? Some call it police brutality. I call it animal control. Alright? Also, like, when a dark-skinned man gets gunned down by the cops, it lets me know that all is right with the world. Plus, you know he was up to no good anyway. Come on. We know it. Come on. You can look at him and tell he was going to rape, molest, rob, kill, steal. It's just what they do. It's like a walking, talking, breathing cancer to the black community and just society at large. Come on, you know, like they say, y'all heard the saying, right? Dark niggas bring dark days. All right. All right. But get out your feelings, gorilla breeds. All right. They were just jokes. And I'm an irrelevant YouTuber. All right. Therefore, it shouldn't matter. Right. You know, and sometimes, heck, sometimes it's not even jokes, right? It's just straight up shade, right? Like the Dr. Umar's colorist outburst towards Sarah Susan Seti.
Every time you look in the mirror, you see a cracker, nigga. Every time you look in the mirror, you see a cracker, nigga. So you got to go extra hard because you're trying to prove to yourself that you're a black man. I ain't got that problem. I'm melanated, bitch. I'm melanated, bitch. When I look in the mirror, I see a black man. When you look in the mirror, you see a cracker, nigga. You got that Napoleon thing going on. You got that Napoleon. You see that date, August 21st, bitch. That's when I was born. 821, nigga, bring it. Bring it, motherfucker. Little dirty midget.
And he's in the pro-black conscious community. And has been on record saying like, oh, you know, talking basically saying in that biracial people are black. So I found that a little interesting, right? Thankfully, I never fucked with Dr. Umar though, so I ain't really losing nothing. All right, but yeah, I think that dark-skinned black men on some level do suffer from low self-esteem and self-esteem issues. And I think when it comes to colorism, that is sort of like the thing that affects dark-skinned people, like self-esteem issues, right? While when it comes to lighter-skinned people, it tends to affect their sense of identity, right? So it kind of would fall into place, right? Like, you know, for example, disparaging their female counterpart, you know, dark-skinned black women, like, that's not normal. I don't see light-skinned black men doing that to light-skinned mixed biracial women. I mean, you may see the other way around, but again, I think light-skinned black men just have enough self-love not to really engage in that sort of a thing. And, you know, they just have a bit higher maturity levels, perhaps, too. Also, obsessing over non-black and non-black adjacent women, right? Anything that don't remind me of your ass. Dating, marrying, and procreating with low-quality women, right? And, you know, these niggas, they weak. Really, they need women to cape for them. If you really think about it, a lot of black women, especially brown-skinned and dark-skinned black women, do be caping for these dudes. Because I guess they need it. You know, they need a woman, you know, a brown skin, a strong black woman to come to their rescue. Never fear, the black woman's here. So next I want to talk about Shaq, you know. And Shaq, he made like a joke about being quote unquote the black Steph Curry, even though Steph Curry is black. I know some people want to debate this shit, but you know, leave your comments in the comment section on that. All right. Really, I kind of feel like he probably should have just said, the blacker Steph Curry. I think that would have been a bit more accurate. But again, Shaq said what he said. All right. um, but oddly enough, y'all remember during that whole Colin Kaepernick police brutality protests, when that first started, and how the media was going to different black folks and asking them, do you agree with it? What's your thoughts? Right? You know how the media do when this shit like that happen, right? So the media folk went to Steph Curry. And Steph Curry did go on record and say that he does support Colin Kaepernick and, his message, against police brutality. Shaq, on the other hand, went on record and said that, pretty much said the opposite. He did not support Colin Kaepernick in his message about speaking out against police brutality. Right. I find that to be really interesting too. And also, Shaq has partnered with Papa John's, which some black people have some issues with because of the whole racist situation thing that happened with Papa John's. And that's interesting too. Again, these are things to think about when we're talking about who's black versus who, like, kind of like being black versus actually being black and having some care about black folk. Because there's a difference. People kind of assume that probably Shaq would be a bit more quote unquote down for the cause just because of how he looks, because he's really dark skinned. But that's not always the case. And people might assume that Steph Curry and Colin Kaepernick would not be so down for the cause. Like, well, perhaps they just, people would probably understand that a bit more, like, oh, well, this isn't my fight, But it's not always like that. But also, I find it interesting that Shaq does have a light-skinned son, and he used to have a light-skinned wife, right? Shawnee O'Neal, right? So I find that to be very interesting because, like, again, with these dudes, they seeking out light-skinned women for some reason, and of course, oh, it just the fuck shit that goes on. And honestly, I'm considering how Shaq looks, I'm not surprised that he's with a light-skinned woman like Shawnee O'Neal, or was with one. I had a coworker actually who was kind of like reminiscent of Shaq, big and tall, right? Really dark skin. And I assumed, like, before I met his wife, I just was like, I bet his wife's light skin. To myself, of course. I didn't say it out loud. I'm like, I bet he has a light skinned wife. And what do you know? He did. He did have a light skinned black wife. From New Orleans, or at least from Louisiana too. Right. Again, it's just like you can kind of start picking up on shit, right? And I think that's the way that is. Let me not get into that just yet, all right? Let me not get into that just yet. Well, scratch that. I'm going to get into it, all right? All right, so, well, fun. It sounds like some of these guys may get with light-skinned mixed biracial women because they are reminiscent of non-black women, but black enough to bring to the cookout without looking like a sellout. Kind of like, in some cases, light-skinned black women and mixed biracial women are like a low-key consolation prize for some dark-skinned, brown-skinned black men, if you really think about it. They may really want to go all the way, but they may not. It's like, sometimes I think they do, but they kind of hesitate to do that because, again, they don't want to be seen as a sellout, right? So they'll go with the light-skinned mixed biracial woman. And sometimes, like, they will be the furthest thing from black, but have some sort of relation to blackness. So, she's just like the darkest of the dark black sisters. Like, acting like there's not a difference and shit, right? When convenient, right? So this is why you see dark-skinned and brown-skinned black men defending, quote-unquote, light-skinned black women against dark-skinned black women because they want to have access to those light-skinned mixed biracial black women. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted now. They defend their access to these women. They don't defend these women themselves because, you know, they fuck niggas. They can't defend themselves. So how they going to defend the women, right? And they subconsciously or even consciously, they use, you know, white women, non-black women, and even light-skinned mixed biracial women to help them assimilate and to obtain some proximity to non-blackness, right? Some non-black proximity here, which ultimately leads to having some proximity to really like being treated as a human being and having some humanity because they're tired of the endless struggle that comes with, you know, being black, especially being a dark-skinned black person, right? And they're tired of the dehumanization that comes with that too, right? I know, I see you. You don't got a front no more. You don't got a front, all right? Like these niggas, you know, they just want a happy ending and a trophy like everyone else. And they feel like non-black and non-black adjacent women can help them obtain it, you know, help them get to it, all right? You know, and as well, they want a visible trophy that symbolizes their success and their accomplishments, of course. And, you know, back to, you know, black men like Shaq and my coworker that I spoke about, who is reminiscent of Shaq. Like, I wasn't surprised, right? And I wasn't surprised, and I guessed it correctly because I feel like these dudes, they kind of, since they're like really big, really tall, and really dark, I feel like they have, um, within society, there is somewhat of a kind of like a mark placed on them to an extent, or like a stigma placed on them to an extent. Like, oh, God, you know, this guy's going to be trouble, you know, right? And like, get the cops ready, right? But if they're with like a pretty, you know, feminine, dainty, you know, woman, I feel like it's kind of like a cosign to an extent. Like, oh, you know, he's okay. He's a good guy, you know, low key, right? And I feel like they kind of choose these women because they feel like, well, if it's two dark-skinned folks together, then they can't get the cosign. You know, it wouldn't cosign them, but the light-skinned and non-black women, they're able to, you know, cosign for them. I don't think the dark-skinned, brown-skinned women are able to, quote-unquote, cosign for them, right? And to help them assimilate them more, right? Interesting. All right. Let's see. What else I can talk about? I got my list here. So next on this list is cooning. Let's talk about cooning right quick. All right. Bar none, brown skin, dark skinned men have the game on lock when it comes to cooning. Nobody can coon quite like a brown skin or dark skinned black men. It's something about, I don't know what's up. It's something. And even some brown skinned and dark skinned black men have admitted that. They may not be the coons themselves, but they have been like, ooh, this is embarrassing. Goddamn. It's something is up. Right. I don't know what's up. But I promise you, their cooning is on a whole nother level. Right. And again, that's why many of them suffer from that King Kong syndrome. Perhaps this is like perhaps a side effect of the King Kong syndrome, right? You know the movie King Kong, right? And how King Kong became obsessed with that white woman and went so far to be with her, and he ended up losing his life because of, you know, his desire for her. That's why you see these black men, getting caught up on rape charges and sexual assault charges by white women and non-black women, but still trying to pursue non-black women for some reason, right? Going through hell with the society, right, and being discriminated against in public places, right, and dealing with racist family members, openly racist family members, right? This, that, and the third. That's why you see that, right? But there is another aspect of this whole situation, which is the pro-blackity black men with non-black women. That's another aspect to talk about too. So how and why is this even a thing, really? They engage in this oxymoron, partly, I think, to dodge accusations of being a sellout and a coon for being with non-black women. So like, oh, I'm pro-black, I'm still down for the cause, I still put in work for the community, things like that, right? So they can kind of help, sidestep, the sellout and coon accusations, right? But, weirdly enough, on one hand, they complain about white supremacy, right? On the other hand, they adhere to it. There's definitely some sort of a mental issue at play here, because that just don't make no sense, right? It's not logical, all right? And all this is partly why you see low self-esteem, dark-skinned black men, disparaging their female counterpart to project their own feelings of inadequacy and self-hate, obsessing over the non-black and non-black adjacent women, And so with all that being said, to the dark-skinned black women and brown-skinned black women wondering why dark-skinned, brown-skinned black men don't help you when it comes to your struggles, either your racism struggles or your colorism struggles. It's partly because they can't. These niggas are hurting themselves. And I know, sister, I know. We all hurting. I know we all hurting. I know, because I'm like, well, because I know some, you watching right now, you're like, well, I'm hurting too, goddammit. Shit, the sisters out here hurting too. But we still down for you. And I understand that, right? But some folks they're built for tough. And others just aren't built to last. They ain't built like that. And I think this may be just the situation that we in. And I just want to speak on a couple of more things. Some of these, like, as you guys know, I have a channel. Duh. And some of the things I've said on my channel have had some dark-skinned black men and brown-skinned black men in their feelings and angry at me. And, I get trolls on occasions, right? Want to come through and talk about, fuck what a half-breed gotta say. Who gives a fuck what a half-breed gotta say? And, why y'all taking advice from a mutt and all that shit, right? But then when I clap back and talk, call their asses gorilla breeds and shit, then they want to get in their feelings about shit, right? But as I said, it's an eye for an eye, all right? So yeah, to sum it up, chocolate beauties can be so sensitive. And as we know, brown-skinned and dark-skinned black men are the true chocolate beauties of the black community, right? And partly, I think this, the brown-skinned and dark-skinned black men who kind of take offense and have issues with me, I think it's partly because I don't think dark-skinned and brown-skinned black men are used to light-skinned black men really clapping back at them, especially with little to no filter. I don't think they're really used to that. I think they're used to more so the light-skinned black men just trying to, take the higher road and not, rock the boat and ruffle any feathers and all that shit, right? But of course, though, I do have brown-skinned and dark-skinned black men who do support and who do show me love. I see you, all right? I appreciate you, all right? I see you. But I'm going to read a few comments from dark-skinned black men directed toward me. Negative comments, all right? Here's the first one, and I find this to be a little interesting, all right? Quote unquote, I give you nothing but my respect. And this is from a dark-skinned black man, by the way, all right? Quote unquote, I give you nothing but my respect. But I have to be honest. I'm starting to think you have something against dark-skinned men. I've been watching your videos, and I notice you have nothing nice to say about them. I have a very dark-skinned woman and can say a lot of us protect women of our complexion. It's people like you who are keeping us divided in our community. What does color have to do with any of this? Every dark-skinned guy in my family has a dark-skinned woman. I can agree we have a lot of colorless dark-skinned black men in our community. But stop acting like you light-skinned guys are so innocent. And that whole light-skinned guys are innocent. That's a thing that has popped up on my channel too, where it's like, oh, why don't you ever call out the light skins, right? This is when they want to be all inclusive and shit, and act like black is black, right? Right? And I'm like, I acknowledge it, but at the same time, I'm not going to pretend like it's on the same level as the dark-skinned brothers, you know, and their colorism, because it's not. I'm not going to pretend. And when people bring this up, they usually don't give examples for me to talk about. They just bring it up and just talk about, well, in my family, well, my friend, well, my sister, brother, cousin, right? And shit like that. And I'm like, well, could you give some media examples? And I'm sure they're out there. And I have spoken on some media examples of them. But again, the videos probably not really popular and probably not enough content to really get people to watch it that much either. But yes, everybody in the community has some colorism issues, including like the light-skinned black men, okay? But again, I'm not going to pretend and act like shit ain't what it is, all right? Just to be all quote-unquote fair and balanced and shit when shit ain't fair and shit ain't balanced, all right? But I responded to this guy, and my response was this, quote-unquote, for the record, I have nothing but love for my dark-skinned brothers. I have an entire video big upping dark-skinned people. Dark-skinned black men are welcome to my channel, even if they have differing opinions. And I see you on other channels defending dark-skinned women. And I congratulate you on attending law school. And I have seen that YouTuber on other channels defending dark-skinned black women, you know. So I would feel like he would be, you know, one of the good ones, you know, quote unquote, right? And he responded, quote unquote, thank you. I see nothing wrong with you calling out the self-hating dark-skinned men within our community. It kills me every time when I see them bash women who are as dark as them. I even check the ones who disrespect them around me. Keep up the good work, all right? And also, this same guy also mentioned on another channel that he couldn't take any more of the anti-dark skin sentiments that he was witnessing and that he was experiencing. So he left the United States and went to Africa and found healing and peace being around so many dark-skinned people. And I find that to be extremely interesting, right? And this is a dark-skinned man who went through this, right? But at least he dealt with this in a positive way, not like a negative way and, you know, lashing out at people, and especially dark-skinned black women, right? I think maybe we need to start some sort of a program. Maybe this could be our way to sort of help rehabilitate some of these colorist brothers, right? Go to Africa and get surrounded by the dark, powerful melanin, right? And set your mind right. So, here's another comment. As a dark-skinned black man, I don't agree with a lot of things you say, because you stay saying dark-skinned black men when all black men are contributing to the destruction of our black nation. Now this is when we get all inclusive here again. I too agree that what Kevin Hart said hurted me. This is in reference to a video, brief video I posted about the Kevin Hart and his dark-skinned women jokes, right? But yeah, what Kevin Hart said hurt me to my soul because a real nigga know better. So like a real nigga knows better. And even though I know a lot of dark-skinned black women are not attracted to me, regardless of what they say on social media, that's something to note too. I still love them and have a place for them in my heart. Because, no, the dark-skinned black was first. And no other race can birth a jet black sister just like me. She may be dark-skinned, but jet black, only me and her can create that. No one else. And that's the greatness of them. So how do you feel about that, dark-skinned women? But yeah, that's something to note too about, because it's interesting because you hear all this, chocolate cane talk, right? And how, they just sing about the chocolate black cane, sing about the chocolate black cane, all day long, all night long, I'm singing about the chocolate black cane. But sometimes these dudes who are brown skin and dark skin, I don't know, sometimes they don't feel the love. And I guess maybe because in their day-to-day life, it just ain't like that. Maybe because perhaps this is maybe where we get into the whole educated lame versus thugs situation, perhaps. Right? But yeah, I found that to be interesting. So my response to him was, I think this is the first time that you've said anything thought-provoking on my channel, because usually this dude tends to troll. Also, what makes you continue to watch my channel, considering that you don't agree with a lot of what I say? Right? And he responds, because I too am learning, and some comments that you make about dark-skinned black men are true. And yes, I too have witnessed some of those things you say about dark-skinned black men, and it stings because some of those traits I possess. Well, at least he's being honest, right? So those are just a few comments that I wanted to point out. But this video is long enough, so I'm going to bring this video to a close. But thank you guys a lot for watching. I hope I hope you were able to get something from this video. I know this video was like all over the place, but it was just so many different layers to explore and to talk about and to discuss and to have dialogue about. So that's partially why I did. To put in, to bring my input, to give my perspective. Perspective that you normally don't get, kind of like the light-skinned male perspective of colorism, right? But again, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.